Welcome to part 5 of the micronutrient series. And in this video, we will talk about is an average human, US or Malaysian, meeting the requirement for micronutrients. So what are the statistics in US and in Malaysia? A recent US survey, which surveyed 16,000 subjects for 4 years and older, they report a high prevalence of inadequacies for multiple micronutrients. So this is the table. You can see that the top few are potassium, vitamin D, and choline, vitamin E, where 80 to 100% are not even meeting the EAR, which is set as meet the 50% needs of the population. So a refresher on what EAR is, it is the estimated average requirement. So we mentioned last time that in this bell curve, the average requirements is in the middle. So some people have lower needs on the left side and some people have higher needs. If you only take the EAR, the average requirement, if your needs happen to be on the lower side, then it is met. But if it's on the higher side, then it is not met. So just now like potassium, it's 100% of people not even meeting the average requirement. So definitely at least 50% of the population are not getting their needs. And it could be more as well because you don't know how much are those who are taking less than the 50% are actually taking, and these 50% are may or may not meet their needs. So what about Malaysians? What are the statistics done in Malaysia? So for vitamin D is easier to measure because there's actually a blood test for the vitamin D levels, but it's not true for all the vitamins. The survey actually just now was based on a dietary count, a dietary recall of what they ate, and they measured the EAR based on the diet they have. But this is a true status measurement. It's measured based on blood. So you see in the first example of healthy postmenopausal women, you see the division between the races, and you can see that 70+% of Malays who are postmenopausal women are insufficient in vitamin D, and that 2% of them are actually deficient. So there are two levels. There are some are deficient, which is the worse category, and there's also the insufficient category. In non-pregnant women, ages between 18 to 40 years old in Kuala Lumpur, you can see that the differences between the races, it's due to mainly skin color, because if you have a fairer pigmentation, the UVB can get through. But if you have darker skin, it's like a natural sunblock. The UVB cannot go through your skin and create vitamin D in your blood. So this is reflective of that. And also dressing counts as well. If you're wearing long sleeve on long clothes that cover up, and then if you wear sunblock, it also affects if UVB can go through your skin and create vitamin D3. So another example here is on the bottom, you can see the pregnant women, and you notice that for the blood levels, it's different for pregnant women. So it's the deficient cutoff. It was 25 nanomole per liter in the first one, but it's 50 moles for pregnant ladies because they are carrying another subject, and that raises their requirements higher. So you see that the women, they're around 80% to 90% insufficient or deficient in terms of vitamin D3. Okay, another example here, you can see that for workers, if they work outdoors and they're in the sun a lot, that they have enough they have sufficient level of vitamin D, which is described here as 50 nanomoles per liter or more. But if they happen to be indoor workers, up around 50% of them are not meeting the requirement for the vitamin D because they're not getting enough of the sun. So there's not a lot of data other than this vitamin D status check. I don't believe there was a major survey done to measure each of the micronutrient needs in the population and if they're meeting it through diet or supplementation. So how do we compare? Is our diet similar? And we can compare some statistics. So Malaysia has the highest rate of obesity and overweight among Asian countries, with 64% male and 65% female population being either obese or overweight. So it's around 65%. And diabetes among adults aged 18 or above has increased from 11.6% to 17.5% over a period of 9 years. So diabetes rate in the US, it's around 13% for adults aged 18 and older, and Malaysia it's 17.5%. So it's higher than the US rate. So I believe it's comparable. And for obesity, for the 2015 rate of overweight obese, I'm not counting the extreme obesity, but I'm just following the orange and yellow curve. For male, it was 74%, and just now we were looking around 65%. And for female, it's 68%, and that's comparable to our 65% that we have. So human obesity is it the insufficient calcium dietary intake part of the problem? So this question and theory explores on the idea that having a diet low in calcium, it may lead to increase in appetite or that there's problems regulating the appetite, and that can cause you to overeat, and that can cause obesity. So the study is here. You can read into it if you want to, but basically not having enough micronutrients can also affect your diabetes or obesity risk. The US micronutrient inadequacy can be used as a guideline to check on what's missing in an average Malaysian diet. So therefore, I use this table as a guideline to roughly know what an average population who is not particularly health conscious and just eating out for convenience, this is what their micronutrient level would be roughly like. So what if you're not meeting the micronutrient needs? Why isn't everyone talking about this or anyone talking about this? What happens if this continues? So deficiency versus inadequacy. Very low dietary intake of a vitamin or nutritionally essential mineral can result in deficiency disease, termed micronutrient deficiency, primarily affecting the developing world. Micronutrient deficiencies are rare but not absent in populations residing in industrialized nations. However, micronutrient inadequacies, defined as nutrient intake less than the EAR, are common in the US and underdeveloped countries. Such inadequacies may occur when micronutrient intake is above the level associated with deficiency but below dietary intake recommendations. In contrast to micronutrient deficiencies that result in clinically overt symptoms, micronutrient inadequacy may cause covert symptoms only that are difficult to detect clinically. So the outcome of getting inadequate micronutrient. So for example, micronutrient inadequacies can elicit symptoms of general fatigue, reduced ability to fight infections, or impaired cognitive function, i.e. problems with your attention, concentration, focus, memory, and mood. Micronutrient inadequacy may also have important implications for long-term health, and increase one's risk for chronic diseases like cancer, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes mellitus, osteoporosis, and age-related eye disease. So these are taken word for word from LPI. You can read about it. The link is described below here. So bottom line is we are not getting enough of the micronutrients. Many Americans are not reaching micronutrient intake requirements from food alone, presumably due to eating an energy-rich, nutrient-poor diet. About 75% of the US population do not consume the recommended intake of fruit, and more than 80% do not consume the recommended intake of vegetables. Intakes of whole grains are also well below current recommendations for all age groups, and dairy intake is below recommendations for those aged 4 and older. So yeah, we're not eating right. We are not getting enough micronutrients. The dietary guideline for Americans highlighted the nutrients that are underconsumed in the US population, and they call it the short for nutrients, labeling a few as nutrients of public health concern because low intake may lead to adverse health effects. Vitamin D, not enough vitamin D, you get osteoporosis. Not enough calcium, also osteoporosis. Not enough potassium, you can get hypertension, which is high blood pressure, and cardiovascular disease. Not enough dietary fiber, you get poor colonic health. Not enough iron, you get anemia, especially in young women, young children, and women of childbearing age and pregnant women. So there are also other nutrients such as vitamin A, C, E, choline, and magnesium that were identified as being underconsumed by the US population. So what's the difference if more of us start aiming towards a micronutrient-based diet? So basically, you can see that if you consume more vitamin D, the whole Malaysia consumes more vitamin D, we will see, hopefully see a decrease in osteoporosis cases, more calcium, less osteoporosis cases, more potassium in your food and diet, you get less of hypertension or cardiovascular disease, more fiber, and you get a healthier gut, so etc. So that's all for today's video. We'll see you in the next one.